Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is good and doing good in their life. Happy Independence Day to all of you. Let's make ourselves, our parents, and our country very proud. And I welcome you all at this session. And the session has been requested by a lot of students. And this session will actually help all of you. So everyone who actually know a decent level of data structures and algorithms, who have done only competitive programming, but they want to get started with development and projects. So this session will going to help a lot of students in the wide variety of projects. I have also seen people who are confused in choosing the area which they go for. For example, they're confused between choosing Android, iOS, web, machine learning, blockchain, AR, crypto, cloud computing. So there are a lot of fields. And also there are people who choose a particular area but still confused between different tech stack. For example, if a person chooses web development, then he can actually choose different tech stack. He can go with Node.js, Spring, Python, Django, Laravel, Gorilla, Golang, and so on. Ruby on Rails. So there are different fields, right? So in this webinar, we will try to answer each and every question that people have in their mind regarding projects and development. And we are going to start in a minute or so, waiting for a good amount of audience to join. Till then, if you can comment out your college name and current year, then it will be awesome. Also, like this video so that it reaches to the maximum number of people. And trust me, guys, this is not going to be a clickbait webinar. I'm not going to do any promotions of any kind. This is going to be a really informative webinar. So watch it till the end. And my main aim is to make sure that each one of you get clarity in their journey after attending this webinar. Okay, so just comment out your college names and current year, and we are going to start in a minute or so. I hope everything is working fine from my side. If not, then just let me know. Let me also check who all have joined. I hope we are live and everything is working perfectly fine. Okay, great. So if everything is working fine, then just give us a thumbs up in the chat section so that we can continue. Great. I believe we have a good amount of lovely audience. So let's get started. Now, the first thing first is, how many of you want to crack FAANG? So FAANG consists of 5 companies: Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So how many of you want to crack FAANG? Just comment yes in the chat section. How many of you want to crack FAANG? Great. So everyone wants to crack FAANG, right? Now ask yourself, are you preparing for cracking it, or are you preparing for working in it? Right? So there is a big difference in these two, because what exactly happens is, please pay attention, guys. If your aim is to crack Google, then after cracking Google, what will you do? You will search for another goal, right? Imagine if a person is playing cricket to get into Indian cricket team, but he is not loving what he's doing. He's not enjoying his play. He's not happy after playing. So will he able to make it in a long run? Maybe he can succeed in short run, but after so much of efforts, he might able to get into the team. But if he constantly doesn't if he doesn't constantly work on his skills, he won't be able to survive in the long run, right? So the simple thing is, don't prepare to crack Google, prepare to work in Google, prepare to become better engineer every single day. Your main aim should be to become better engineer every single day rather than focusing on a particular goal. Build your skills every single day. Have you ever asked yourself, why do you want to get into Google? Because of money, because of brand value, because of social status and all, or because of the work Google is doing, the impact he's creating in millions of lives, or maybe because of the people, the smart minds working in Google, right? I just want to make a change in your mindset and the thinking process. Imagine if you are working with the AI team of Google, so won't you be making a lot of impact, right? I'm not saying that you should not have to crack Google. You should not have goal to crack Google. I'm just saying ki you should change your mindset. Instead of focusing on cracking Google, focus on building your skills to work in Google. Because I have seen लोगों का ये रहता है कि they have to get a job. There are already a lot of frustrated engineers in the market. Society doesn't want any more frustrated engineers. So at the end, if you don't have any skills, you will feel lost in your job and would not be able to survive. And also तुम्हारे इस डर का फायदा educational institutions उठाते हैं. And this is the reality, guys. Why and how exactly an edtech industry runs? Because of the fear, because of your fear, right? There are hardly any institution who actually helps you genuinely, who tell you to focus on building skills and become better engineer every day. And since तुम पहले से ही काफी डरे रहते हो, so they say कि यार ये कर लो, job लग जाएगी. But are you preparing for job, or are you preparing to create an impact by being an engineer? Right? तो जॉब के आगे की सच्चाई कोई नहीं बताता. Imagine you have to do a job which you hate doing for 20-30 years. What life would that be? Happiness is actually a byproduct of living a lifestyle in a certain way. So focus on living a lifestyle that excites you, that brings life in you, that improves your skill. So focus on becoming a better engineer every day. Why I'm focusing on that? Because it is very, very important. And it's okay if you discover within yourself that engineering is not what you want to do in your life. Maybe you love acting, maybe you love dancing. There's a lot of scope in every field. So put your laser sharp focus in that field. But my suggestion is do whatever you do with pure focus and do it wholeheartedly with full devotion, right? Remember, whatever you focus and practice, it starts manifesting in your life, right? Now let's get started with development. Let's see some points to ponder to get started with development. Okay. Now, how many of you believe that IT industry is a rapidly changing industry? You need to adapt with the changing environment, right? See, the nature of life is actually the change, but many of us actually fear change. No one wants to leave their comfort zone, but at the end, if you just take one step forward towards the uncomfortable zone, if you take an initiative from your side, then that's where actually learning happens. So if you are in college, maybe I can assume that you all are in college, then find opportunities to build something, find opportunities to learn, put yourself in uncomfortable zone. A simple example maybe to work on your college website, or maybe improvement of your college website, add more features, or maybe work on your college app or something, or maybe to work on your college festival app websites, or maybe if your college is hosting TEDx, then you should take ownership and responsibility from your side to work on the website development part for TEDx. The first step actually is to put yourself in an uncomfortable zone, which is actually comfortable after some time. So it's all about taking the first step, and don't keep yourself limited. Be curious in everything. Be curious in the learning process itself, and start taking small responsibilities. Right? Now, ask yourself, how many opportunities were there in your college where you actually felt that you must have done that thing at that time, but you haven't done, right? Okay. Now the next point I want to highlight is participate in hackathons. So how many of you agree that unless and until you have a deadline, you won't take action, right? I mean, जब तक मतलब हमारे पास डंडा नहीं होता, तब तक हम कुछ काम नहीं करते. Like in the layman language. To tackle this problem, there are actually hackathons. The next point I want to discuss is go to hackathons as much as you can. at least 5 to 6. So there are plenty of hackathons happening in different colleges. Now, what exactly hackathon does is hackathon teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you leadership skills. It teaches you teamwork, time management, focus, and obviously technical skills as well. Now, try to participate in each and every hackathon with full focus and dedication. Give your 100% in every hackathon. Don't think from the start that you are not going to win. So whatever you think is how you act. So think big, even if you know nothing. If you know nothing, but still if you participate, you will improve your knowledge a lot. Again, at the end, it's all about taking the first step. So find teammates who are willing to learn along with you, who have the same mindset and goal to become a good software developer, and then you will actually learn a lot. Also, if they have different skill sets, then you can then the team would be really good. So let's say if you're participating in an hackathon, and if you know, let's say, backend development, another person know front end development, another person know maybe Android application, then it's a very good team to have for a hackathon. So try to find teammates who actually resonate with you. And if you don't have any teammate, then also don't worry. Participate individually in hackathons. You will actually find a lot of mates there, and you will actually improve a lot. You will learn a lot from yourself also. Okay. Now moving on to the next point. The third point is start with least friction. Now what happens is don't leave anything because your first experience was bad. If I give you my example, I have very little knowledge of Android development, but the first thing which I started in my first year was actually Android. At that time, I didn't have any good laptop to do that. I had Windows 2 GB RAM, i3 processor, and who all have done Android development can resonate with me that Android Studio takes a lot of time on loading and building. So my first experience was very bad, but I didn't have that much patience at that time, and that's why I left Android. So does it mean Android is bad? Android is bad? No, absolutely not. The conclusion is start with something in which you have all the basic requirements with very less friction, with very less hustle, so that you can continue with ease till certain point of time. If I had, let's say, 4 GB of RAM at that time, so might be I was an Android developer today. Also, adding to this point, if you're starting something new, associate it with the reason. For example, if I had started my Android development journey with a reason, maybe that I will build a small app or publish it over Play Store. So if I had that thing in my mind, then my reason to pursue it becomes far more important than my problems itself. So start with a reason. We all are emotional creatures. So if you see the life of a human being, we all are emotional creatures rather than intellectual being. People think that they are logical and intellectual, but most of the time they took decisions based on their emotions. So try to associate something that you do with a reason so that you can stick to it till some time, and then you can follow along with it. Okay. So this was the third point that I want to discuss. Now let's move to the next point. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Lakshay is saying, sir, please suggest some interesting projects for final year. Sure. We are going to do everything. We are going to discuss everything. Right. Now let's discuss some project ideas that people who are in first year, second year, third year, or fourth year can actually build. The first point is build tools for yourself. So this is the very simple point which I want to highlight is because what happens is that whenever you are working on something, whenever you are actually starting your development journey, you end up feeling lost. कि यार मुझे क्या करना है? So what you can do from yourself is start building tools for yourself. Maybe simple tools. For example, let's say you have two files. You want to check the difference between those two files in line by line. Then you can build a simple diff checker website or maybe you can build a URL shortener website, or maybe you can build a paste bin kind of thing. So paste bin pay, you can actually submit your, like, paste your text, and then you can share that text with other person. So you can simply build that kind of website. So whatever problem you are facing in your life, try to ease with it. Try to actually help yourself by building tools for yourself. For example, let's say if I show you my screen, let's say if I right, so this is a website, a soft murmur. You can see this website is for the folks who actually love listening music, and who actually want to wash away their distraction. So there are different sounds and tunes of rain, thunder, waves. So it's a very simple website to build, right? And also it is very useful. So try to build such websites which actually help yourself and your yeah, so which try to help yourself and your journey as well. Okay, so this is the first point. Now the second point which I want to highlight is that create clones. So this is also the doubt that people have in their mind, is that यार ट्विटर तो पहले से बना हुआ है, why should I make Twitter clone, why should I make Slack clone, why should I make Spotify clone, why should I build an e-commerce website? So, but see, these are the projects which you will, if you build, then you will learn a lot. So whatever you are actually building, you will face problems and eventually you will learn a lot. So try to make similar type of projects that already have done. Maybe you can build a Ghana app, or maybe you can build an e-commerce website, right? So try to build and create clones. So this is a very good example of working on a project. The next idea is build your website or portfolio. So if you have seen that in your resume, people actually mark like your email IDs, and people actually write your GitHub link, but most of the people also write their website link or their portfolio link. So having a beautiful portfolio actually helps a lot. And if you actually develop your website or your portfolio, then it actually helps you in creating your development journey ahead, right? So you can actually build your website and portfolios to showcase as well, and you can also build it for learning purpose. The next point we have is start with DS algorithm based projects. For example, if people are good in data structures and algorithms, they can start building some, let's say, Sudoku solver, or maybe they can build some games using DS algo. So maybe snake game, or maybe they can build a face recognition system. So you can build your data structures and algorithms based projects, which actually helps. And it is very simple code to build. You just have to learn JavaScript. You have to learn how to handle JavaScript events and how to actually trigger them. And the rest of the code is the same, which actually of the DS algo code, right? So you can start building DS algorithm based projects. The next point I have is to go to hackathons, have hackathon ideas, and if you are not able to, let's say, complete a hackathon, then actually work on that project after completing that hackathon. So if you have an idea which you get in your hackathon, then try to work on that hackathon later on. Okay. So also there are Smart India hackathons. Government also have different hackathons in different states. So what you can do, you can go to SIH website and start taking some ideas from there and start implementing that. At the end, it's all about how do you take first step. So if you take first step, then that's the most important thing. The next thing we have is plugins and Chrome extension. So most of the people I have seen, those people who are actually good competitive programmers, they actually build plugins for your tools. So for example, I have seen people who actually build C++ plugin for VS Code, or they build plugins for PyCharm, they build plugins for Sublime. So you can start building those plugins. You just have to Google it, how you actually gonna do that. And also you can build Chrome extensions. So it is also a beautiful thing that you can actually build and mention in your resume. to make your resume more powerful. Right now, the next point which I want to discuss is open source contribution. So this is the most famous question, and everyone the famous suggestion that everyone knows it, that if you are actually a developer, you can start contributing to open source. You can see the open source contribution projects over GitHub. Many companies list their source code, and you can start learning their source code, visiting their source code, and if you see a bug, you can like build a patch and like create a pull request and all. So that thing you can do definitely, and it will help your open source journey as well. The next point we have is to work on college or NGO projects. So for example, as I discussed, that you can start building your college website, or you can start taking some opportunities to build your college fest website, TEDx website, or you can collaborate with NGOs. So might be some NGOs are actually working on like needing some help from you, that you can build their app or build their website. So you can definitely do that, right? So try collaborating with NGOs. You will also feel good. It will be a lot of impact in the society as well. So you can work on college or NGO projects as well. The next thing is you can combine different technologies. For example, if a person is actually learning, let's say machine learning for let's say one year or 1.5 years. Now, if he want to deploy his model, then he has to learn web development, or he has to learn Android development. So he can combine these two technologies together, and that will be a very good project to work on. You can build your app or website, or you can combine your ML or deep learning knowledge there. For example, if I am working on a website, then I can build a chatbot there. So whatever, or like whoever person visit my website, a chatbot can be triggered who can actually communicate with him, right? So you can combine different technologies together, and then you can actually learn a lot of things in the very short span of time. Okay. Now the next point we have is try to see what are the functional and non-functional requirements. So for example, let's say if you're starting your development journey, you follow a tutorial. Let's say I go to Udemy, I follow a course, I did a course. That course teaches me, let's say, e-commerce web application. That course, let's say, teaches me how to build an e-commerce website. Now I have copied the same thing, I have built the same thing, but if I can see that the non-functional requirements are also there. For example, there might be reads slow, there might be writes slow, right? Or there might be latency in accessing your website. So all those things are the non-functional requirement. The availability of your website, the capacity estimation of your website. So all those things are the non-functional requirements which you can actually see, and there you can actually improve. So what you can do is follow a course, follow a project, and then start adding features to that project which are not there in the original code. So if you are, let's say, if you build a website, e-commerce web application, then maybe in that application searching was not prominent. So let's say Elasticsearch was not used. So you can actually build Elasticsearch on top of that, right? So in that span, you can actually learn a lot of things in a very short span of time. Now, moving on to the next point. So we are going to list some myths now, and myths regarding development only. So these myths are regarding development only. Now, the first myth that people have is that library management system is not a good project. For example, if I am learning, let's say, Spring, or if I'm learning Node.js, then I may came up with some simple applications like to-do applications, to-do list application, or library management system, student database management system. So all these projects are not good actually if you consider to put it in a resume. But if you see your learning, you will actually learn a lot of things. You will learn how to build a CRUD application. You will learn how to manage your website. You will learn how to create REST APIs. So all those things are actually help you in learning your journey, improving your journey in a longer run. So library management system is also a good project. It's a very good project to get started with. And it's not that कि सबने बनाया है तो मैं क्यों बनाऊं. So you have to build also because your learning actually strengthens, right? So start with library management system, and then you can slowly move to different other projects. The second myth that people have is I have to master this. So what happens is in people mind is कि यार मुझे, like if I'm starting a journey, let's say if I'm starting with Node.js, so I have to learn everything. I should know everything about Node.js. I should have to master it. You can't master anything. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. So start small, dream big, but actually at least start. So you have to start very small, but you have to see and monitor your progress, and then you can slowly move forward. So what happens is, like, if people faces issues, then they actually learn. So you don't, if you are not facing any issue, if you are not facing any bug in your code, if you're not facing any missing features in your code, then your learning becomes stagnant, right? You become stagnant at some point of time. So like slowly, if you keep practicing, if you keep building stuff, you will face a lot of problems, and then you will actually resolve them, and that's where the learning happens. Okay, so don't have this assumption in mind कि यार मेरे को starting से ही सब कुछ सही करके चलना है, right? The next point I have to discuss is, this is the most famous thing that I have seen in the students. I have done this course, what next? So यार course करना एक objective नहीं होता. Why do you do the course? The course is actually giving you some input which actually you feed in your memory, and then you actually output those input. So those things a robot can also do, right? So if you have done a course, spend a little bit of time, around 1 to 2 months, in actually building those things from yourself, adding the new features in those projects which you have done in the course, and practicing those projects. So don't just focus on gathering the input, focus on releasing the output also. So एक चीज पकड़ो और उसको सही से करो. मतलब don't do multiple things. एक चीज पकड़ो, उसको सही से करो, maybe for 3-4 months, and then if you see here you are actually able to build something from that, then you can switch your domain, right? So focus on output rather than input. Now let's move to some FAQs that generally people have in their mind. So the most famous FAQs are, which area to choose? So there are a lot of areas which already have, maybe you can go with website development, Android development, iOS development, or you can go with machine learning, blockchain, cryptography, cloud computing, AR, VR. All these areas are there. Now, firstly, ask yourself, what is your goal? If your goal is to actually become a good engineer, then you can start with something very basic which everyone is doing. So in market, everyone is actually doing web development or Android development. So you can start, which is very, very popular. So you can choose Android or you can choose web. My personal favorite is web, not because I haven't done any Android thing, because if you see a lot of websites, so if you see any company, they have a website, but they don't actually have an Android app, right? So if you actually know how to build a REST API, how to work on backend, then you can actually work, your domain actually improves, your domain actually increases, right? So you can start with web dev or Android, and then you can actually go with multiple areas. So let's say if you build an e-commerce website, then you can add something like Elasticsearch over there, something like chatbots over there. So you can play around with all those things, but you have to get started with at least Android or web dev, because so if I'm also talking in terms of job perspective or in terms of freelancing also, if you are going to do freelancing in future, then it also helps you, because web development हर कोई चाहता है, Android development हर कोई चाहता है. So you can go with that. Now the next point is which tech stack to choose. So let's say मैंने Android choose कर लिया. So Android में तो clearly simple है. We have Java and Kotlin as the option. So you can go with Kotlin because Kotlin is trending. Kotlin is in the market. So you can go with Kotlin. But if you are choosing, let's say, web development, then what you can do is you can ask yourself what all you have done till now. For example, if you are a competitive programmer, if you code in Java, then you can go with Spring. Or if you code in Python, then you can go with Flask or Django. Or if you code in, let's say, JavaScript, then you can go with Node.js. So start something that is least frictionable for you. So whichever thing has the least friction, start with that. Don't consider कि यार ये market में नहीं चल रहा, या फिर ये तो बिल्कुल ही अलग है. For example, I have seen the people who are actually a Java developer. So I have seen people who actually code in Java, but they go in Golang. So यार, why do you want to go in another field? Because तुम्हें पहले Golang सही से सीखनी पड़ेगी. You have to be you have to practice a lot. Then you have to actually build something from out of that. So start with something that actually helps you from the very scratch. So if you go with Spring, then you have the push कि तुम्हें Java पहले से आती है, right? So start with something that you are good at. But also, if you haven't done anything, for example, if someone is in first year and he hasn't done anything, then I would suggest to start with JavaScript. Why JavaScript? Because if you learn JavaScript, it will give you a wide range of variety. So if you learn JavaScript, then you can go with React.js front-end development, or you can go with Node.js, or if you actually go with, let's say, in future Java or Python, then also for the front-end part you have to code in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So JavaScript is actually a very good language to learn from the very start if you are actually going to enter in a tech company, because every company has uses JavaScript not going to fail anyhow. Okay, so let me just wait for a couple of minutes on this question also. So on this particular question only, what tech stack to choose, and let's see some doubts from the comment section. If you have any doubts regarding what tech stack to choose, please mention. I hope I have given some good insights on what tech stack you can choose. So Lakshya is saying, sir, could you please discuss a brief roadmap on becoming a full stack web developer, Python preferred over Java? So as I said, Lakshya, start looking. So if you are talking in terms of Python, then I assume that you are aware of Python. Then what you can do, you can actually learn Flask. Flask is easy framework rather than Django. Then you can build some projects over Flask. Maybe you can build an e-commerce application. Maybe you can start with building your actually some basic tools like URL shortener, paste bin. So all these simple tools you can build using Flask, and then you can slowly move to Django. So as long as you practice, you actually become good at it. Whatever you practice, you become good at it, right? Okay. Now let's move to the next question that people have in their mind. The next famous frequently asked question. Yeah. So this question people have in their mind is that, are projects required for cracking FAANG? Are projects really required for cracking Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google interviews? So if you consider these companies, if you consider Google, Amazon, Netflix, so all these companies are actually require a good level of competitive programming, right? So if you have not done good level of competitive programming, then projects won't able to help you. But if you have done good level of competitive programming, then there is no I don't see a hustle in actually building something. So ultimately in the companies you have to do development, right? So what you can do, you can, if you are preparing especially for FAANG, then you can skip your project development journey in the initial phases of your years, but later on if you get the company, then you can actually work on your project. So as I suggest, that focus on becoming a good engineer rather than focusing on cracking a job, because if you crack a job, you have to do development there, right? So it will give you, so if you start early in development and projects, then you will get the brief idea here what exactly happens when you join a company. Okay, so this is my point, this is my take on that. So this is not necessary to do development if you're cracking for if you want to crack FAANG, but it will actually help you. Now the next question is, should we read documentation? So documentation, I would say documentation is the best step, but it is not the easiest step. Many people actually start with documentation, but they go lost and they actually leave that thing. So don't start with that. Do some basic watch some basic YouTube tutorials or maybe some course, and then you can follow documentation. Documentation actually gives you a lot of insight. It will actually give you a lot of clarity. You will learn a lot of things from the documentation rather than the video. So try to first see videos, try to get a brief clarity from the videos, and then go through the documentation. And eventually, if you get more and more experience, you will actually start reading documentation itself. You will not go to any YouTube video. You will start directly with the documentation. But it's a little bit of uneasy path to follow if you are starting your journey. So directly don't go to documentation part. Watch some tutorials and then go to documentation. Now the next question that people have is, doing a tutorial or a course will help. So as I suggest that if you are starting, then do a course, then do a tutorial. Maybe you can go with some Udemy courses or Udacity courses, and after completing a course, then don't skip to another course. Digest that knowledge that you have learned from that course and start building something from that only. So let's say if you have this amount of knowledge, then start from that amount of knowledge only to build or add something new in that project. So focus on output rather than getting a lot of input. Right. So the next question people have is, should we go for BFS approach or DFS approach? That means should we choose a particular domain and then go in the depth of it, or should we try different domains? So I would suggest, this is a very difficult question to answer. You have to find a very sweet spot that works for you. So for example, if you practice something for a very small amount of time, then that also not help. But if you practice something very long amount of time, then you might miss some different areas, right? So try to work on something for at least six months. I would suggest 6 months, and then actually switch your domain or add something. So you can actually add multiple domains in a single project. For example, e-commerce website, you can actually build chatbots over there. You can build some voice assistant over there, in having the web development journey continue, right? So you have to find your very good sweet spot that actually helps you. But I would suggest that follow one thing for at least 6 months. If you feel that you have actually invested your 100% in that thing and still you are not able to enjoy it, still you are not able to get good result out of it, then you can switch your domain. But don't go small. Go a little bit long. Okay. Now let's move to the next point. Does trending technologies like machine learning, blockchain, AR, VR help? So yeah, they do help. Because if you actually build your knowledge in various domains, then that will eventually help. But as I said that most of the companies are going to hire you as a software developer, so they will actually expect that you will work on website development or app development. So try to first complete your web development or Android development journey, and then focus on machine learning, blockchain, AR, VR. So if you are not yet done with your prerequisites, then don't go with these technologies from very start. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. What type of projects should be there in my resume to get my resume shortlisted? And this is a very interesting question. As I said, that you can actually combine different technologies, and then you can create a project out of it. That will be a good project. Maybe you can build some crawler, and then you can actually build some, let's say, a clone of a website, or maybe then you can actually build a chatbot or something, and then you can combine all these things. So crawler will actually download your, let's say I'm building a Ghana app, so it will actually crawl all the songs. It will put that songs in my database. It will fetch those songs from the database and it will present it to the UI. And then also you can actually automate something using machine learning. So that will be a good project. It will give you a clarity over REST APIs, the databases, the front-end part, the JavaScript part, the crawling part using Python or something, the scripting languages. Then also you can go with machine learning. So if you combine this area, then it will be a very good project to have in your resume. Don't have some small short projects in your resume. At least try with something, try to combine different things in a single project. That will actually help your interview experience also. So if you try to explain this project in your interview, then interviewer will also be happy. Here तुमने इतना सब कुछ किया है. Okay. Now let's see some resources which you can follow. So I have listed down some resources which actually you can follow. Yeah, so these are the resources which you can follow. The first resource is Free Code Camp. So Free Code Camp is a website, and it's a very beautiful website. You can Google it, where you can learn your front end and back end stuff. JavaScript.info is also a website where you can learn a lot of things about JavaScript. So if you are starting your journey with JavaScript, then it's a very good website to have. You can go with JavaScript, right? JavaScript.info. Then you can go with the NetNinja. NetNinja is also a very good channel you can visit, where you will learn a lot of things about JavaScript and other areas. Traversy Media is specially designed for front-end developers. So if you are willing to go to front-end development, then do check out this channel. This video is not sponsored by any YouTube channel. So I'm just listing out all those resources which I use and which I got help. So I am not actually promoting any video, but I am just actually trying to help you with these resources. Now the next resource we have is Hussein Nasir. Hussein Nasir, if you just search over YouTube, Hussein Nasir. So this guy provides a lot of things regarding backend engineering, regarding software development. So these are very, very good resources if you are going to have your backend engineering stuff. Then if you are going to have your system design rounds, then Tech Dummies is also a good channel, and educative.io is, so these two are the good channel, good websites you can follow. And then if you are actually starting your journey with the development, if you have not done anything, then start with the Udemy full stack development course with React and Node.js. If you just Google it out, full stack web development React with React and Node.js course. So it's a very good course you can start with. Then we have Telesco Learning. Telesco Learning is a YouTube channel which actually helps you in multiple areas. It is designed specially for Java developers, but you can go with Python and other areas. Now, Durgasoft is also actually a very good channel if you see Durgasoft Solutions. So this is actually an institute which teaches a lot of things, but it is specially designed for Java developers. So almost every questions you will actually get resolved in your Durgasoft solution. Again, there is a Java Brains channel. Java Brains especially focus on Java. Then we have Edureka. Edureka has 1 hour courses. So 1 hour length of courses that you can actually watch and get the gist out of it. Then we have W3 Schools and Java T Point. So these are the most two famous resources which you can follow, similar to Tutorials Point also. And if you are going with Python, then you can go with Syntax. Syntax is a tutorial like YouTube channel for Python. Or you can, if you are going with machine learning, then you can go with Krishnayak and Andrew NG. So Andrew NG course is actually very good if you're starting with your machine learning journey. It's on Coursera, and Krishnayak channel is also on YouTube. You can also follow, you can also watch his videos. It's pretty good. Then if you are going with Udacity, if you are going with Android, then you can go with Udacity Android course, and you can also go with Google Android certification program. Those are also good. So these are some of the favorite resources that I generally I have followed, and this actually help you in a longer run also. Okay. Now let's see what is the exact roadmap that a developer can follow. So for that purpose, there's a very good website which you can follow, roadmap.sh. So let me share my screen and I will show you how this website help you. So if you see this website, let me share my screen here. Yep. So roadmap.sh is a website where you can actually find the different roadmaps. So if you want to become a front-end developer, if you want to become a back-end developer, if you want to become a React developer, Android developer, DevOps developer, then you can check out their roadmap. For example, let's say if you are becoming a back-end developer, then for back-end developer, they have provided a great image and other resources which you can follow. So you can start with learning how internet works, what is HTTP, how HTML works, little bit of CSS, little bit of JavaScript. Then you can go with other basic knowledge of OS, how exactly OS works, how exactly programming helps. Then you can go with some basic terminal commands. Then you can go with learning a language for backend development. Maybe you can go with Go, Rust, Java, PHP, Python, Ruby. and then you can start learning your version control system, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and then you can go with databases, relational databases. So they have actually provided you very beautiful PDF or beautiful image that you can follow and start learning all these things. Okay, so this is a very beautiful website. You can see and check it out for your roadmap. And if you are actually starting your journey, then you can follow their roadmap, and then you can follow a course over Udemy or Udacity. That will actually help. But actually, eventually, you have to work on your output rather than getting input. So if you follow a course, try to get most out of that thing. Okay. Now, yeah. So this was the roadmap, and let me also again share my screen. Till then, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Right. So this is my roadmap. Then some final suggestions from my side is keep your GitHub updated, because GitHub is your live resume. GitHub actually helps you a lot. Build your portfolio or website. This is a very simple and starting project that you can follow. Join meetups and hackathons, because it actually helps you in building your network. You will actually know more people. You will actually know and collaborate with other companies as well. Work with like-minded people. Try to find people who have the same mindset. Try to remove energy vampires from your life, and work on building your skills instead of chasing job. This is very, very important. Become better engineer every single day. So I have this rule which I generally follow. Become uh, become better engineer every week. So what I do in every week, I try to learn something new for 20 hours. So I keep a span of 20 hours, and in that 20 hours from within a week, I try to learn something new. So start building your skills instead of chasing the job. And also, I want to mention that your network is your net worth. So try to associate yourself with like-minded people. Try to remove energy vampires from your life, because it will take a lot of time and energy from you. And just have a sharp laser sharp focus, and work towards your goal, towards your better life, towards becoming better engineer every single day. Okay, so that's it. Thanks. If you have any queries, questions, now I'm open for queries. Let's have your queries now. So Lakshay is saying, sir, please suggest some interesting projects for final year. So Lakshay, I would suggest focus on your placements rather than focusing on projects now. Because if your aim is to crack some company, good product-based company, then focus on data structure and algorithms now instead of focusing on projects in final year. But if you have if you have got a job, then you can work on different projects of machine learning and blockchain. You can start developing some chatbots or some deep learning face recognition project, NLP projects. Those you can start. Or if you have not done any project kind of thing, then I would suggest to start with web development and start building clones of some websites. Maybe you can build Twitter clone or e-commerce web application. So these things you can build. Okay. Any further questions? I hope I have covered everything. If I have left anything, then please comment in the comment section. Please write comments in the chat section. That will encourage me to make more future videos also. And also, if you like any suggestions, any questions, any comments, will be welcome from your side. And I hope this webinar will be helpful for you. Sure. So, okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for attending this webinar. And I hope everyone is safe and everyone will do good in their life. And thanks a lot. Bye-bye.